जय श्री राधे श्री वल्लभादि शिखी जय Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna. Today is the 106th day of our readings of Chaurasi Vaishnav Varta, the story of the 84 Vaishnavas of Sri Vallabhacharya Ji, Kumbhan Das Ji, part 4 continued. When Sri Govardhan Naji heard this song from Kumbhan Das, he put his arms around his neck and said, "Oh Kumbhan Das, I have come to tell you something." Kumbhan Das asked him to say what it was. "You were going to tell me before the king arrived, and you ran away. I've been wondering what it was ever since, so please tell me now." Sri Govardhan Naji spoke up. "Today all of my friends are having a competition to see whose house can prepare the most delicious meal for me. Will you join in? I came to ask you this." Kumbhan Das asked him, "Well, what is your favourite meal?" The Lord replied, "Barley porridge, yogurt, milk, millet hotbreads, and a salad of tenti tree leaves." Kumbhan Das Ji said, "We have these already prepared at home. Sri Govardhan Das Ji asked him to quickly call for them to be brought there. Kumbhan Das told his niece to bring millet flour, the salad of the tenti tree green leaves, yogurt and milk from home. She replied that she had already brought everything except the milk, which she had heated in preparation of making yogurt with it. Kumbhan Das told her not to set the yogurt today, but to bring all the milk there as well as the barley. "Whilst you fetch those, I will start the cooking." Kumbhan Das had already just bathed, so he immediately began to cook the breads, into which he added a little salt on his earthenware hot plate. As he was doing this, his niece brought the barley and the milk from Jamunawata. Kumbhan Das then prepared the porridge, adding a little water in the milk. Then all the Sakars brought their prepared lunches in packages. Kumbhan Das placed all his preparations close to Sri Govardhan Naji. The Lord then tasted all of their offerings. Bhav Prakash. Sri Vishakhaji took Kumbhan Das's preparations and sweetened them before offering them to Sri Swaminiji herself. She did this because Kumbhan Das Ji is a manifestation of Sri Vishakhaji. While Sri Thakurji was enjoying the divine taste of Kumbhan Das's preparations, the poet sang him this song. Rag Sarang. These tenti berries are the best fruit in the whole of Vraja. They can be prepared as a green salad or eaten as a pickle with millet rotis. One daughter of a well-known Gopa went out with a basket in hand just to pick such berries. Kumbhan Das now tells how on the way she met and embraced the youthful Sri Krishna, the upholder of the Sri Giriraji mountain. Rag Saranga. Packed lunches have come from every household. Some are sour, some are sweet, but all delicious, very varied preparations. Sri Thakurji's band of friends have gathered on the banks of Sri Yamunaji in the shade of thick trees and vines. These gopis and cowherd lads together taste all the dishes and praise their tastes. The exquisite Sri Krishna and Balaram serve the group with their own hands. He tastes the morsels and puts them into his friends' mouths. This play steals away the gopis' hearts. Amongst those dishes are tenti berries, the salad of tenti leaves, rotis, milk and lovely porridge. The poet Kumbhan Das now says, "My Sri Krishna, upholder of the Sri Giriraji mountain, cannot get enough of all these flavours and is now dancing round and round." Part 4 continued. Kumbhan Das experienced great bliss as he sang this poem. He thought to himself how fortunate he was that the Lord had let him have the experience of such a pastime. It was in this way that the Lord continually blessed Kumbhan Das. For the rest of that day, Kumbhan Das was immersed in the joy of their play. It was not until the evening that he remembered his body at all. He immediately ran to Parasoli, thinking to himself that he had not yet been up to have the Lord's holy sight that day. He began to experience pangs of separation. He arrived at the temple as the offerings were being cleared up, and was even more anxious whilst waiting to have his holy sight. Finally, the doors opened for the service just before the Lord would be taking rest. When Kumbhan Das saw the beloved, he stared at him unblinkingly and sang this song. "When our eyes met and became four, I could only stand there as if I had been captured, and I forgot all about covering myself with my shawl. I had come just as I was to Nanda's home, and there I saw that dark one. I stood there staring. My feet would not even move, although I tried. I forgot all about my household duties when I began to fall in love with that Sri Krishna, more attractive even than the God of love." Kumbhan Das now sings, She is so desirous of his nectar that she steps off the righteous path. Pad Rag Bihagaro. I surrender to this son of Nanda. My joy is overwhelming as I see his dark and tender body. Let me now sing the pure praises of this, my Lord, ruler of the world and a supreme appreciator of love. Kumbhan Das now gives up everything for his Lord, the upholder of the Sri Giriraji mountain. Rag Kedaro. At every moment his beauty increases. See, O my friend, how at every glance you will see something new about him, and your gaze will never stay in one place. I have tried with all my heart's might, but I cannot reach the limits of his glorious loveliness. Kumbhan Das now states, My Lord, the upholder of the Sri Giriraji mountain, is the zenith of all good fortune. He is the most supreme appreciator of the nectarian mellow of pure love. Kumbhan Das sang many poems in this mode of love, for he was the recipient of great grace. One day, many of the saints and religious leaders from... This is part 5. One day, many of the saints and religious leaders from Sri Vrindavan came to Sri Giriraji to meet with Kumbhan Das. They had heard that the Lord spoke to him directly. They had also heard that he had sung the praises of Sri Swaminiji. They wanted to meet him so that they, who had themselves described Sri Swaminiji's beauty in many ways, could see how he would describe her. When those saints and poets describe her, including Sri Hit Harivamsa and Sri Haridas, met him, they said, "Oh, Kumbhan Das, you have sung many poems about the divine couple, and we have heard many of them, but we have not yet heard you sing of Sri Swaminiji alone. Please sing us a poem about her, just about her." Kumbhan Das did just that. Rag Ram Kali. Kumari Radhika, Samasakara Sobhagya Sima. Oh, beloved young lady Sri Radhika, you are the zenith of all fine qualities and good fortune. To your face millions of moons surrender. To your eyes pay tribute and heartfelt contemplation millions of lotus-eyed Kunjan birds and millions of deer. Billions of banana trees find themselves inadequate before your thighs, and millions of lions offer themselves up to your waist. Millions of intoxicated elephants cannot compare to your gait, nor a million urns to your chest. Millions of parrots humble themselves before your nose, and why should millions of jasmine buds not surrender to your teeth? Millions of red plums and a million bunduka flower fall short of your lips as their pride is crushed before them. Millions of snakes cannot compare to your hair braid, and a million pigeons cannot equal your neck. Millions of lotuses cannot equal your two lovely hands. All of them try but fail to compare. The poet Kumbhan Das now states, her beauty is incomparable from head to toe. To what extent can I possibly attempt to describe her? Even Shri Krishna, upholder of the Sri Giriraj mountain, says, I am only happy for as long as I can see you. Part 5 continued. When they heard this poem from Kumbhan Das, the saints of Vrindavan were very pleased. They said, we have composed many pieces about Sri Swaminiji in which we compared her to the moon, etc. But you have compared her to millions of moons, therefore we conclude that no one is as qualified as Kumbhan Das to sing her praises in front of Sri Swaminiji. Oh, your description is extraordinary. They then left to Vrindavan. And Kumbhan Das thus remained immersed in those loving pastimes of the youthful Krishna. He was such a greatly blessed recipient of grace. Part 6. One day in Gokul, Sri Gosaiji thought of travelling to Sri Dwarkaji to uplift those divine souls who lived in such faraway places. He took leave of Sri Navaneet Priji and started out on his journey, but he first of all came to Jatipura, where he attended to Srinathji's adornment, and then after taking his prasad, went to his sitting place. He was sitting on his mattress and pillows, and all of his disciples were sitting around him. The assembled Vaishnavas began to talk about Kumbhan Das. One of them told Sri Gosaiji that the poet was suffering due to his poverty. There were so many family members, 7 sons and all their wives, Kumbhan Das and his wife and 1 niece. Even in that condition, Kumbhan Das always offered hospitality to visiting Vaishnavas. Meanwhile, the income was minimal. Kumbhan Das had the little bit of land in Parasoli, and they all survived on the income from the grain, the tenti berries and flowers. When Sri Gosaiji heard this, he kept it in his mind. When Kumbhan Das next came to Sri Gosaiji, he bowed and stood in front of him. Sri Gosaiji invited him to come and sit down. When all the other Vaishnavas had left, Sri Gosaiji spoke to Kumbhan Das. I am going to travel on the excuse of going to Dwarka, but I am really going to all those places to meet the Vaishnavas who live there, all of whom have written to me and invited me. I must go. Please come with me. I will then not suffer so much separation from enlightened souls, and neither will the other Vaishnavas, and we will all learn something from you. I have heard that your family is suffering in poverty. This trip will help to solve this problem. You must come. Kumbhan Das replied, "O Maharaj, what can I say? I will do as you command." The time to wake the Lord from his afternoon rest had come. Sri Gosaiji bathed and entered the temple to serve Sri Govardhanaji. He completed all the services up until the Lord took rest and then returned to his sitting place. He told Kumbhan Das to go home and get ready to leave in the morning. "We will set off after the lunchtime service." Kumbhan Das bowed to Sri Gosaiji and went home to Jamunavata. He came to Sri Gosaiji in the morning. Sri Gosaiji bathed and then went up to wake Sri Govardhanaji. After the service of adornment and lunch were completed, Sri Gosaiji took his leave of the Lord and came down. The camp had been set at Apsarakund. He told Kumbhan Das that they would go on to the camp at Apsarakund and take rest there. Kumbhan Das and the other Vaishnavas came to Apsarakund. Kumbhan Das began to ponder, "Oh, my heart, what can I do? What can I say? No one understands the pain of separation that I have from the Lord of my life." Thus his heart filled with the agony of separation from Srinathji. Sri Gosaiji was inside the camp. He woke up. When it got to the time for the afternoon service, Kumbhan Das got lost in the contemplation of seeing Sri Govardhanaji at that time. His eyes began to flow with tears and his hair stood on end. He stood beneath one tree close to the camp and softly started to sing Rag Sarang. How many days have passed since I last saw my beloved? He has a very fresh, youthful form and is full of loving mood. He is the son of Nanda and smiles softly. The shining beauty of his face defeats the beauty of millions of moons put together. He has a lovely glance and enchanting laugh, and his form is truly that of the best dancer. My heart is full of my desire to meet with my dusky lord. Kumbhan Das now sings, "Being born and being alive without Sri Krishna, the upholder of the Sri Giriraj mountain, are both worthless." Part 6 continued. Kumbhan Das was gripped with anguish as he sang this song. Sri Gosaiji was listening to it from inside the tent. Sri Gosaiji found himself unable to tolerate Kumbhan Das's grief. He came out of the tent and saw Sri Kumbhan Das's condition. Tears were streaming from his eyes and his sadness increasing at every second. Sri Gosaiji spoke to him, saying, "Kumbhan Dasji, go to Sri Govardhanaji and have his holy sight. You have already completed your journey." Bhav Prakash. The inner meaning. Sri Gosaiji knew that Sri Govardhanaji would be feeling as bad as Kumbhan Das at that moment. This situation has already been exemplified in the story of Gajan Dhawan. When Sri Akkaji sent Gajan to fetch some pan leaves for Sri Navneet Priyaji, the moment he stepped outside, he was struck with intolerable pangs of separation. In one single second, the fear of being apart struck him. He fell unconscious at the shop, which was close to the temple door. Whilst that was happening, Sri Acharyaji inside the temple was offering Sri Navneet Priyaji his lunch. Sri Navneet Priyaji told Sri Mahaprabhuji that he would only eat when Gajan returned. Sri Acharyaji asked everyone where Gajan was. Sri Akkaji told him there had been no pan leaves, and so she had sent him to get some. Sri Acharyaji admonished him, "Do you not know that Sri Navneet Priyaji cannot function without Gajan? Why did you send him?" He sent one Brajvasi to go and find Gajan and bring him back. Gajan came to Sri Navneet Priyaji and told him to eat his meal. Only then did he accept the offerings. Without Gajan, he had just been sitting, feeling separation. This is a rule of Sri Acharyaji's path of grace, that if his devotee has total and unwavering love in his heart for the Lord, then the Lord feels the same about that devotee. The Lord says to Arjuna in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, "I worship my devotees in the same way as they worship me." This is why Sri Gosaiji told Kumbhan Das that whilst he was here suffering separation from Sri Govardhanaji, so the Lord was suffering in the same way. Now go quickly to Sri Govardhanaji, your journey is already completed. Part 6 continued. These were Sri Gosaiji's instructions to Kumbhan Das. Kumbhan Das' horripilation calmed down. He was so happy and bowed low to Sri Gosaiji. He ran back to Srinathji's temple from Apsarakund. The doors had just opened for the afternoon services. Kumbhan Das then sang one poem. Ragnat, O my lady friend, when the lover and the beloved both crave to meet each other, then no one can keep them apart despite 100,000 plans. The heart's love grows when the pain of separation is mutual. There should be no concern for the rules of family or society. Kumbhan Das now explains, when you have given up yourself for the beloved, nothing, indeed nothing else can please. Without my beloved upholder of Sri Giriraj mountain, a split second becomes an eon. Part 6 continued. After hearing this, Srinathji felt very happy and said to Kumbhan Das, "Oh, Kumbhan Das, I understand your heart. I know you cannot live without me. I also cannot live without you. Now you will always stay close by my side." Kumbhan Das was overjoyed. He prostrated before his lord and then asked him with folded hands, Oh Maharaj, I was desirous of exactly this, to never ever be apart from you. Kumbhan Das was thus the recipient of great grace. So there we pause here for today and carry on with part 7 tomorrow. Shri Kumbhan Das Ji ki jai, Shri Varta Dihisha ki jai. So Vaishnav ko jai Shri Krishna, jai jai Shri Radhe, Radhe, jai jai Shri Radhe.